Hey guys, welcome to Chilling Crime Cases. Each week I'll be bringing you guys a new interesting case from around the world. Please like, comment and subscribe. Today we're going to be looking at the disturbing case of Jennifer Pan, the deadly daughter who organised the murders of her strict parents. Get yourselves a drink, let's jump right into the case. Jennifer Pan was born on June 17, 1986 in Ontario, Canada, to Vietnamese immigrant parents Hoi and Big Pan. Like many Asian immigrants, her parents were extremely hardworking, and through this hard work, they bought a large family home in Markham, Ontario, which is a predominantly Asian suburban town, to raise their two children in. The Pans had very high academic expectations for both their children and practiced tiger parenting. Tiger parenting is basically a very extreme, harsh method of parenting. Parents who practice it can be extremely strict, overbearing, and highly controlling. They believe that making their children juggle multiple extracurricular activities will produce high achieving, successful children. Some people would argue that it actually deprives children of a proper childhood. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan, and unfortunately, this was the case with Jennifer. Jennifer's childhood friend claimed that Jennifer's dad, Hoy, was a true tiger dad, and her mum, Bic, was a reluctant accomplice. As a young child, Jennifer was doing really well in school. Her parents had her in piano lessons and figure skating at the age of 4, along with other activities like playing the flute and swimming. But as she grew older, she found it really difficult to live up to her parents' high expectations. By the time she was in high school, her grades had gone completely downhill. At best, she was now an average student, which was completely unacceptable in her parents' eyes. She started creating fake templates for her school's report cards and forging her grades because she was so scared of being seen as a failure and to preserve that image of perfection. This was a piece of cake for Jennifer, who mastered the art of lying from an early age, almost as a defense mechanism to combat her parents' tiger parenting. Naturally, when a child or a teenager has strict parents, they become good at telling little lies like, where they might be and who they might be with. However, with Jennifer, she spun a web of lies so intricate that even she couldn't keep up with it, and it would only be a matter of time until everything caught up with her. When it came to lying and living a double life, there were absolutely no limits that Jennifer could not reach. She actually made out that she was fully enrolled on a pharmacology degree on a full scholarship and had a part-time volunteering job in a hospital despite not even fully completing her high school education after failing a core calculus class. She even went to the extent of buying all the different types of books for the course and filled in various notepads with tons of notes just to keep up with appearances. What she was actually doing was spending time in the library and working part-time in a restaurant, as well as working as a part-time piano instructor. Jennifer got permission from her parents to let her move near campus during weekdays with a female friend, and they only agreed because they thought that it would be beneficial for her academically. But of course, Jennifer had other plans. She actually ended up living with her secret boyfriend, Daniel Wong, who she kept a secret since meeting in high school at the age of 16. Even though Jennifer was now in her early 20s, her parents continued their tiger parenting methods. To an extent, she must have felt like she had no other choice but to carry on lying. As a 24-year-old young woman, she had never been to a club, never stayed over at a friend's house, or had been to any parties because she was simply not allowed to. After some time, her parents became very suspicious when they realized that they had never seen her uniforms or her ID badge for her volunteering job at the hospital. The Pens began to follow their daughter, and just like that, the web of deception and deceit had unraveled. The Pens realized that all their efforts were for nothing. Jennifer's dad wanted to kick her out of the family home, but her mum managed to calm him down, and instead they placed further restrictions on their adult daughter. She was given an ultimatum and had to end her relationship with Daniel and felt as though she was under house arrest. Jennifer and Daniel carried on seeing each other secretly. However, Daniel eventually got very tired of the relationship and broke it off. He even started dating someone else, but Jennifer tried to put a stop to it by claiming that a gang of men forced their way into her house and sexually assaulted her. She even went as far as saying that after the assault, a bullet was mailed to her and that it had all been planned by Daniel's new girlfriend, which is obviously all a lie. She was so obsessed with Daniel and simply snapped when her parents ended their relationship. Jennifer achieved her goal. She was now back in contact with Daniel, and shortly afterwards, they were back together as a couple. In spring 2010, Jennifer decided that the only way for her to be with Daniel and to truly live her best life was for her parents to simply die. The two twisted lovers came with a plan to hire a professional hitman for $10,000. They planned on paying the hitman from the $500,000 Jennifer thought she would be inheriting after the murders of her parents. Daniel was in a world of thugs and was easily able to connect Jennifer with an acquaintance of his called Lenford Roy Crawford, aka Homeboy, who then got his two friends Sean Carty, also known as Sniper, and David Mothergam involved in the plot. Daniel wouldn't be doing any of the dirty work himself, but he lined it up so Jennifer would have access to the people that would do it for her, and even provided her with a new phone to contact the future killers of her parents so that she wouldn't use her own. On the night of the murders, Crawford, Cutty and Marvogam entered the house through the front door, which Jennifer conveniently unlocked for them before going to bed. The three killers tied up the family, ransacked the house, demanded money and attempted to stage a robbery. They then took Jennifer's parents, Han and Bick, down to the basement and mercilessly shot them, killing Jennifer's mum, Bick. However, her dad, Han, survived a point-blank range gunshot wound to the face. Once the robbers left, Jennifer called the police. This is the actual recording of the 911 call Jennifer placed to the police on the night of her parents' murders whilst she was still tied up. For the detectives, the evidence at the crime scene was simply not adding up. There were no signs of forced entry and they found no DNA of any of the killers. Interestingly, nothing of high value was missing from the home. The detectives began suspecting that the robbery was not the main motive of this crime and started focusing their attention on Jennifer Pan. Jennifer didn't even have a single bruise from this attack, and yet her dad was fighting for his life in an induced coma and her mother was dead. Jennifer was first interrogated by the police on the night of the murders. The investigators realized very early on that her statement and her overall version of events didn't quite match up with the evidence at the crime scene. So they brought her in for a second and a third police interview. At first, only Jennifer and the attackers knew exactly what took place that night. The cops only had a word to go on. That changed when her dad, Han, woke up from his coma. He recounted what took place on the night of his wife's murder and his own attempted murder. It was even more evident that his version of events didn't match up with his daughter's statement. Upon reflection, he even mentioned to the investigators that the way the killers were interacting with his daughter was odd to him at the time, and it almost seemed as though they knew each other, but he didn't think much of it at the time because obviously with everything that was going on, being bundled into the basement, that was the last thing that was on his mind. During the third police interview, Jennifer confessed that she had hired the killers, But of course, in true spirit, Jennifer being Jennifer, she couldn't stick to the whole truth. She claimed that she actually hired them to kill her instead of her parents, but they basically went off script and did their own thing.
They said, the last things I heard them say was, you lied to us, you lied to us. And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her, and a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
And I think I heard my mom say or moan or something, and then they did one more before they left, and then one of the guys said, we have to go now, it's been too long.
So that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were, okay? Now, and are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm
Yes?
around the banister,
Yes?
but my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
The investigators successfully used the read technique on Jennifer to obtain a full confession from her. The read technique is basically an interrogation method which creates a very stressful, hostile, and high-pressure environment on a person who's being interviewed. The high-pressure environment is then softened by the investigators, followed up by sympathy, empathy, and understanding in order to obtain a confession. At the trial, Jennifer, Daniel, and the 3 accomplices all pleaded not guilty, but evidence is evidence, and it was very overwhelming. They were all sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after serving 25 years. Eric Carty, also known as Sniper, passed away in 2018. He was found dead in his cell. This concludes the tragic story of Jennifer Pan, an unfortunate story that could have been prevented with more communication and understanding from both sides. Thanks for watching this video. I want to know what you guys think. Please like, comment, and subscribe for weekly cases. Do you think Jennifer could have gone down a different road? Are your parents tiger parents? Are you a tiger mum? Are you a tiger dad? Please let me know in the comments. And you can also let me know of any other cases that you'd like me to cover.